It's 2 o'clock on SABC1, and you know what that means. It's time for Game On, of course, brought to you by Hollywoodbets. I am Caesar Mapena, proud to be in your company for yet another exciting show with plenty to talk about, locally in the way of the DStv Premiership, as well as abroad in the company of legends. Of course, Jerry Skosana will be joining me later on. And right now, another legend, Shane McGregor, with, things happening. That time of the year where some will crumble and, may not meet their ambitions because of it. Let's start off by talking Arsenal. We thought they were crumbling a week ago, responded with some rather interesting results that includes a 5-0 win over Chelsea. But before that, they bounced back perfectly away from home at Wolves, winning 2-0. So they haven't conceded in the last two, and they've scored 7. Is Arsenal back on track?
For me, I think they are because, the scoring goals, which is the big thing, and not conceding. That's the amazing thing. You got the points in the bag if you're not conceding. So, I think they're back on track. Though we'll have to have a look at fixtures, but 2 good wins. Chelsea win. Chelsea were flying. All of a sudden, they lose their star player, and then all of a sudden the wheels fall off again. And that's Chelsea been the whole season, up and down. He's got a big job there, Pochettino, for next year. I think he needs to make wholesale changes, to be very honest.
Now, let's talk Arsenal and what they're doing right, though. We've spoken about the goals they've been scoring of late, but also defensively, there seems to be a nice balance in what isn't the biggest squad in the world when you compare them to the likes of City, but they seem to have a very nice balance in their core.
Very good balance there, and that's the big thing in that, is that when you're not conceding goals and you've got the backline working well, and you've got the defence just behind it, the holding midfielder, makes a big difference.
And he's scoring now.
I was very impressed the other night when Partey played, because for me he's a decent player, and it freed Rice a little bit more to go forward a bit more, which looked good for them. So with those 2 players back in now, it's going to be difficult to break them down.
Now, another side was talking about, of course, in the running, or maybe are they still in the running is the question. Liverpool away from home with Fulham. They win 3-1. All seems well after they struggled not too long before that. And then the Merseyside derby. Everton come up with a 2-0 win that's shocked the world. I think we're still trying to get over it.
Yeah, I was hoping we were not going to talk about it. Big crocodile tears this side. Yeah, if you look at it, Fulham was a tricky game to go through. They got the result there, well done to them. They go to the derby. They haven't lost this derby in forever amount of years. So go there. The difference between the 2 sides were the will to win and the fight and the determination. And also, they took their chances. Simple as that. I mean, Liverpool is that. They went out there, they fought, they know where they are. They've been docked all these points. In a way, I'm sad because Liverpool lost, but in a way, I'm happy that Everton stay
Yes,
up.
I get you.
So there will be another derby next year. But for me, it was woeful in front of goals for Liverpool. And a lot of players seem to not being able to play, so not wanting to play, and that's the big thing for me. When you go out and you're just going through the motions, it's not great.
Now, there's been a lot of talk about Jurgen Klopp, of course. It all started with him announcing his future, or lack thereof from a Liverpool point of view, going forward at the end of the season. Now, everyone's talking about the timing of that announcement and how it's affecting the squad, and if it is, there's already talk of, players quite... possibly considering their futures beyond Liverpool at this point. How do you make sense of all of this?
It's a good and bad thing, what he did, when he did it. When I say a good and bad thing, the good thing is it gave Liverpool time now to find a successor for the position. For me, I would have done it differently. I would have gone as a manager, gone and spoken to the Liverpool board and said, guys, this is what's happening. I'm leaving at the end of the year. Look for someone to come in. Not announce it publicly, because straight away it puts pressure on players. Players then now all of a sudden, what's going to happen to me? Where's my future? Is the new manager going to be, am I going to be part of the new manager's plans? Things like that. And it always puts doubts in players, which is not a great thing. And the guys were saying, they're playing for Klopp because they love Klopp and they want to win. You always still get that doubt. You're a human being. You're always going to have the doubt in the back of your mind. Am I going to be here next year? Is my future going to be here? What's going to happen with a new manager coming in? So as I said, it's a good and bad thing. I just seen all the time they should have done it that way. Just rather keep quiet. Come the end of the season, have a big do, announce that he's leaving. This is the new manager. To come in and say halfway through the season, players, and you can see some of the players, the effort hasn't been there. Salah's a shadow of himself that he has been. Nunes, I mean, what can we say about him? And there's a few others, but for me, it's the timing, not the greatest.
I heard Wayne Rooney speak on the matter most recently, and he made an interesting point where he was speaking in defense of the timing of the announcement, and he said, look, there's always the risk that maybe the board knows, and then it leaks anyway to maybe the staff and the players, and you have a disgruntled group that doesn't know where you stand as the manager, because we know many of them would have signed because of Klopp. And when you look at it from Rooney's point of view, is he making a good point?
He makes a very good point, because, he has signed players because of, it was him, Klopp, and they're going to go play for Klopp. So he makes a good point, but having said that, as I said, you always get that doubt in your mind. The other players get the doubt in their mind. That's the big problem. So do you want to keep part of the team happy and the other part you look at it, you never know. You never know if it was a right or wrong decision, but I would have done things differently. Yeah.
Now let's talk Liverpool. Up next is, David Moyes, a former Everton coach who's caused problems in the past and will be looking to cause problems here with West Ham. They, on their day, can really take on the likes of Liverpool. How do you see this game?
And on their day, they can get beaten. Two struggling teams at the moment. And we've got to say Liverpool struggling to score goals. So two struggling teams. I've got to lean towards Liverpool just because of the way West Ham have been playing. But don't discount a draw in this one. I think Liverpool's top chances are done. I think it's far too far for them. A draw could be on the cards here with this one, so just be aware.
In recent times and throughout our time working together, we've spoken a lot about Liverpool and the lack of goals. Even when they lost most recently, they lost a game where they were creating chances and could have easily have won it. Is that their biggest problem right now, up front, the sharp end of the attack?
Biggest problem. They just don't seem to be able to score. Something like, they're creating 10, 15 chances a game and not scoring. So it's one of those. It is one of those things. But you're professional. I mean, I saw Nunes miss a goal midweek where it was 2 meters from the line. You should never be missing chances like that.
Especially at this stage of the season.
Exactly. So anyway, it happens. But it's a problem.
Derby Day in London. Tottenham at home to Arsenal. Tottenham could have the worst run of any given season, but when Arsenal show up, they turn to want to show up themselves and show out.
If you look at history in this game, there's a lot of draws in here. I know Arsenal are flying now. I know everything that they gain while the title's theirs to be, they got to win every single game to be in that title race. I think this could be a little bit of a banana peel for them. Spurs always seem to raise their game. Obviously, it's a derby game. Always raise a game against Arsenal. Whether they're going to be good enough to do it this time, I'm not too sure. For a safe bet, if you're a betting man, you would go Arsenal in the draw. But this could be their banana peel. I'm talking about Arsenal. So let's just be aware of this one and be wary of it. I would still lean towards them, but I hope Arsenal get the job done.
Well, still at the top. City away to Nottingham Forest. Many will have their money on City in this particular fixture.
For Forest, it's a do-or-die game. They in there. They're one of the teams that can get relegated. So for them, it's a massive game. I just feel that City will have too much for them because of the way they've been playing, and I just feel that Forest will look at other games to get points rather than this one. You look at your games and you plan, I want to get points here, I want to get 3 points here, or we got a chance of getting points here.
Sure.
Rest the players and rather take on a less opposition, should I say, than City. But I think City will get the job done.
So, interesting times indeed. And as far as the league race out in England, will Arsenal be able to stay on top? Can they stay there right till the end? Will City be too strong? And is Liverpool out of the running? That is the big question right now, as we are going to the final straight in as far as the season and the race right at the top. So, thank you very much to Shane. And while that concludes the first segment of the show, on the other side, we bring things locally to discuss the local game. And my oh my, is quite a bit to talk about there as well, which is Kosana.
Check these guys. Let's show them how it's really done. I see it. Let's have a your feet like this.
Let's see how you play.
Move your feet like that.
Welcome back as we bring things to the local game. And my oh my, do we not have quite a bit to talk about? And of course, we say hello to Jerry Skosana. And Jerry, let's start with take two, or part two of AmaZulu up against Pirates, or Pirates up against AmaZulu. Only this time around, it's a home game for Pirates. They saved up 6 goals in the Cup game. Only the 1-0 win this time. Let's talk about the difficulty of Dlalang and Bay 1, Guy 2 in such a short space of time.
Sure, Caesar. I think last week I spoke about it to say, it's always difficult when you do well against a team of AmaZulu's caliber and they are coming to you, being hurt, and it wasn't going to be rosy for Pirates.
Yeah.
So maybe I estimated a draw.
Sure.
But if you look at what happened to AmaZulu when Mubarak got a red card, so I think that was the effect. But if that maybe stood to be like 11v11, something different should have happened at Orlando Stadium. But well, Pirates did that, but yes, Mabasa continuing the good things that he's doing in terms of scoring goals. And yeah, this is what you expect from a big striker like Mabasa playing for Orlando Pirates.
Well, when you look at Mabasa and the Pirates, let's talk about the effect. Anna, since the figure from Swallows again, we have to mention Kaleku Kosafa Cup before the season started. His confidence was up when the season started. Now, like Pirates manage, Chiefs don't have a regular goal scorer. Even Sundowns at the top don't have a regular top goal scorer. What does this guy do when the Pirates run in the way they do by just scoring goals and being the guy to go to?
I think Sizwe, I was one of those people when I came from Woodbank Aces. People were asking, hey,
Sure.
And I made the difference. But for Yena, it was a second spell for him to come. And at one stage, when he was coming back, he was discarded to Pirate without scoring goals.
Yeah.
Now by Mbuyisa, because he was doing well from a small club. So Manje is doing what he's supposed to be doing. Scoring goals, and his continuity and consistency. Pirates, because this is where Pirates, even supporters, I think even the nickname is gonna come.
Late.
Because he's doing great.
Let's stay in Soweto. Kaizer Chiefs in our problems, man. Maybe many of the fans would have been hoping to take Richards Bay. They're struggling down towards the bottom. Maybe it's Vuga just pay your Chiefs. And Chiefs, just the one win so far this year. This whole year. Chiefs.
Yes, siyafuna ukukhuluma ngayo indaba ye-Chiefs, but for mina ngibheke ngenye engele ukuthi imagine the Chiefs that we all know iye eMlazi. Iyodlala eMlazi. And then people, the suffering people get because people even end up pangaphandle.
Yeah,
so it shows that there is no more support to Chiefs. When they played Richards Bay, some of the stands, they were empty. The whole grass.
And usually so
that's the effect. So I think people are not happy now. Yes, Chiefs, it's a big club of it. But if Chiefs is going to fight for top 8, what's going to happen if they don't get into the top 8? It's going to be more difficult when they start the season. So I think things that are happening with Chiefs, well, a lot of things that can be said about Kevin Johnson. For me, yes, a little bit of that, players being there, choosing players, Chiefs' way, but I don't see any of all of these things that people are expecting or what he promised to the supporters happening. So I think there is a big, big, big problem. Imagine losing to Richards Bay 1-0. I mean, that was not a good thing to do.
Sundowns on speed, but they make 11 changes. Now, as a commentator, that game, I was shocked. 11. How many times do you say as a commentator, 11 changes made, and the other day, footy on Friday, you win a 2-1 foot with 11 changes, Mchala.
But leyo mfana kufanele mina ngithole credit when we
Dalusho vele, yeah.
Dala ngisho. Yeah. I-Sundowns ungayidlalisa ngo-3.
Yeah.
During the day uyidlalisa ngo-8. They still have another 11. Idlale tomorrow the following day or 10 in the morning.
Sure.
But look, you always give credit to Rulani Mokwena. For me now, what he's doing. It's not easy to have a big group of players but also have the way of pushing them to be better players when they're inside that field. I mean, every player that was there, you wouldn't even look at a player to be doing mistakes unless what happened with Onyango, being good because of the Sundowns ways to start the ball at the back. He wasn't comfortable. Sikukune was putting a lot of pressure. He lost a lot of soccer possession. But supporters, he's playing for a good team, a team that is consistent. He's only one. You need to encourage him. You need to say something good, positive. But unfortunately, that hurt Urulani because of the booing. Yeah, it didn't sit well with the coach.
Also, it was his third appearance of the season only, so one has to take that into account. Now, let's look at the fixtures that are coming up, Namhlanje. Later on in the day, tough one. Chiefs, 1 win this season. This year, I beg your pardon, 2024. SuperSport, no wins, 2024. Batlangana labantu, iChozi against Ipitoli.
Yeah, for me, if I have to look at that game, I would say, well, the draw is on the cards. But if you look at SuperSport, for them, the lot that they are doing now is to promote players. I think maybe to have an impact on the league, but at least being there, good top 8 is good for them. But they are looking at promoting a lot of youngsters that they are giving a run. So I think maybe Kevin is just now planning for next season to say, let me have a look at all these youngsters and see if next year Mankala foot things will be fine for me. So I think that's the positive only that I can give to SuperSport. But yeah, play a game, draw for me.
Imagine 3 o'clock, Amazul. But Chipa United, lately they're doing everything right, Chipa. Whether they're at home or away, they're not conceding, they're scoring. They're an exciting team.
They are just like playing good football.
Yeah.
But let's also give credit to the coaches. September, Nokop, also, impact Mamila at least in that bench. But yeah, I think they're doing well. Maybe there is something good that is happening inside the camp for Chipa.
We have to talk about Ksasa. Royal M but I'm the Pirates. When's Royal M this is?
Yeah, I don't know. Really, I don't know, because a lot of expectations and where was almost home-wise. There is a big problem, money this, money that. Sometimes more we play and that takes the focus away from players. But I think if everything can be fine inside the house, everything will be in order. Let's hope they will rise from that.
Let's hope Monday, don't forget, Sundowns come back from the adventures on the continent. They'll be playing at home on Friday, but they will be playing against Galaxy on Monday, but on Friday in the Champions League. So that's an interesting one to look forward to. We round things up in as far as the local game is concerned. Keep Jerry here. We go from the professional game, go to the El Clasico games. The Kasi Games, of course, and talk to a man who's been involved in that space as well to find out how it's contributing to the beautifully South African game. Stay with us on Game On. Game On. Welcome back. Now, for those of you that have been watching this show over the last month or so, you'll notice we've been talking a lot about the Kasi Games that Hollywoodbets has been involved in ensuring that, just about the professional ranks and those just below the professional ranks do get the attention they deserve in as far as sponsorship and growth within the country. And in speaking about growth in the Kasi Games throughout the country, we've seen in the Easter period, it's fashionable for many of us to be involved either as fans or in some way. Now, Kasi Games, Hollywoodbets is not to be left out here, Cherry. Let's talk about the importance of these Kasi Games, the growth, and what it offers the footballing community.
Yeah, Caesar, if one has to talk about these games, for me, when Hollywoodbets come on board, it's not only just sponsoring. They're opening a platform for coaches, top coaches, PSL coaches, championship coaches, ABC Motsepele coaches. They always gather there because they know most of the players that plays in these tournaments, they don't have qualified coaches, so they give what they know themselves of being good of. So that's where you will see the true colors of a player, because he's not being coached or being given the directions as what we do from training. If we do our stuff. But for me, I mean, it's been good for these games, as people, a lot of people come there. To them, it's a festive, but all of these games, any game that you go to, yasekasi. I mean, it's always a lot of people coming to watch. So it gives you the direction to say there is something good, Gulama game, and Hollywoodbets being involved. It's something so magnificent,
Let's talk about Lama Games, Guti. What do they give Ama football supporters? Because it's a Portugal, whatever the tournament, wherever in the country, whether it's Harrismith, Soweto, it's a Portugal, and people come out in their numbers here to support. They're showing their love for the game, even at that grassroots level. What does that tell you about South African supporters, South Africans, and our love for the game, whether it's PSL or Kasi Games?
I think Kasi Games has taken a big step forward in terms of luring supporters to come and watch the game because
but you jam fans with PSL,
but I think when you look at the club coaching and just the selection of the team without coaching, just to come, gather 11 players to go and play on the day, it's big difference. So supporters want to see like the freedom of expression. A player really free. And the legal selection. Because I get or demand something to say, no, a training discipline, so you don't have to play here, you don't have to do the turnaround, you don't have to excite people, you must play the ball forward. So, Lento Yenza would at least to say, and that gives the support. And if you look at all these tournaments and you go to the social media, we spoke about the tournament in Harrismith. What a great impact it did. I mean, it's a good thing for Free State to have that. And then you've got KwaMahlobo, that's Hollywoodbets as well. And then you go to Tsalanang, Hollywoodbets as well. And then you also go to Fosterus, which is the El Casico. So for them to be involved in these tournaments in football fraternity, it's something that they're doing good for South African football and also to promote some of the players that are not in the PSL as the players that we've already hosted in this show.
I'm glad you mentioned the players because you'll know, Shane will know, not everybody is as lucky enough to get to play professional football. But that doesn't mean those that don't play professional football aren't good players. Some of us have to settle for last Sfela corner, so to speak, and many of them become Kasi stars, ghetto superstars because of these Kasi games, and they make them feel like there's somebody and they can still contribute to the games, whether they do make it professionally or not. So,
but sorry with that, Caesar, I think maybe just to cut you, if we look at these two platforms, now this is the platform where it produces players to the PSL.
Sure.
In our like old days, we had the schools, football that produced. So these are different now, and people are following this one to say there are good players there, and that's where we need to go and support and see who's going to come out of there. So it's a good thing because we no longer have the good platform in terms of schools, football, where there is a big number of players that are coming out of that. But I mean, it's something that is positive for South African football.
Now, when we're talking room for improvement and growth for the Akasi Games, where can we improve? How can we grow still?
I think much needs to be done in terms of how we conduct ourselves because sometimes you see some of the games, there is like fighting, spectators getting inside the field, referee's decision being challenged. That's the only thing that is not good when I go and watch those games. Because you need to have people in terms of security that will secure whoever that is going to come and be inside the field because some of the decisions that are made, a referee would be told by somebody who knows him or her, and then the decision wouldn't be fine because he's trying to run away from danger, and then he will give a wrong decision because he's being threatened. So that's the only thing that we need to improve on, to have referees being free to express themselves because these are also the same referees that needs to get the same treatment like players that goes to the PSL. So it's something that needs to be looked at, the safety. Safety in these games is key.
Now, in as far as Hollywoodbets, they've put up their hands to help the game grow in that regard. Yes, it's no longer schools like you say back in the day, Mabasakula, but here we are. Kasi football is growing. Hollywoodbets is getting involved. We need more. Do we need more in the way of corporate sponsorship, corporate involvement in South African football in the whole, and more so Kula Makasi games as well?
Yes, of course. I mean, if Mina, you look at the team that I have now out of Hollywoodbets, which is Tembisa Hollywood Thunder. When I started this team, I used to travel a lot in terms of being a brand ambassador of Hollywoodbets. I've been like to Limpopo, Makadu, I've been to Palaburwa. I've seen a lot of players. I've even invited some to play in my team. I've been to Northwest, Lichtenberg. I've got 2 players that are currently playing good football in my team now. So it's something good, and I've also spotted a lot of players in the El Casico and Fosteras. So I think that's where corporate needs to come and give a big net in terms of where do you go and look for players. And for Hollywoodbets to do all of these things in all the provinces is something good for South African football. And yeah, big ups to Hollywoodbets. So
Hollywoodbets being their pet, they bring you Gatti games all across the country. They bring you Game On. And of course, we've come to the end of the show, and we'd like to thank both Thierry as well as Shane. And thank you at home for taking the time to join me, Cesar Mapena, and the rest of the team that is behind the scenes as we sign out in the best way we know how. That is by saying click, click, bang.